Alright. Bismillah walhamdulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum, Cam. Let's get started with our review. So, rather than just repeating everything in the exact same style like we did before, we're going to approach it from a different angle. This time around, I thought it'd be good to focus more on terminology and actually go through the entire review through the lens of terminology. Because it's really important at the end of the day that you know these things, because they're going to represent the concepts that you learn. So the idea is to give you pretty much a reference lesson and document that you can go back to pick up on all of the terms that we've covered so far. Okay, so let's hop right in. So languages are generally taught in the following sequence. First, you learn the letters, right? So you learn the letters, how they sound and how they connect together. Then you learn the words that are produced through those letters, right? You learn the different attributes of those words, how they function. Then you go on using those words to create what are called phrases. Phrases are incomplete sentences, right? In a sentence, there are two parts. There's a subject and there's a predicate. If one of those parts are missing, then what you're left with is a phrase. And then finally, after you're done completing phrases, you can start to structure sentences. And there's one more step to this, but we're not going to cover in the Taqwa program. But when you know how to work with letters to produce words, then to produce phrases, and then finally to complete those phrases and turn them into sentences, you can then begin to compose your own stuff and articulate it to others. But we're not going to cover articulation in Taqwa. It's not our goal. Our goal is to understand the Quran and the text relating to it. So let's hop straight into letters. This is something that a lot of people kind of overlook, right? The terminology when it comes to letters, such as Fatah, Dhamma, Kasra, Haraka, Tashkil, Chedda, Sukun, all these things. A lot of people just assume you know it. I know when I first started off and I was learning Arabic, it was a very difficult thing. I was struggling all the time with remembering what a Fatah was, what a Kasra was, what a Sukun was. So I want to give you just a quick reference to what these things are. So when you hear the word Haraka, that means the symbols on a word that produce sounds. So all of these things that you usually see on a word, the top slash, the double top slash, the double bottom slash, this one over here, the double dhamma, the sukun, and then the shadda. They're also known as tashkil, right? And these harakat allow us to produce sounds from the words, right? They give us an a, e, and u sound. Or they allow us to connect sounds. Or they allow us to connect sounds and then produce another sound, right? So these harakat are really important. And actually, as we get further into Arabic, your understanding of grammar will be so good that you won't even need harakat. You won't need them. You just need to know the word and whatever purpose that word is serving in the sentence, and you'll be able to figure it out on your own. So that's what we're aiming towards. You could think of them right now kind of like training wheels, right? And we're going to work our way towards letting go of them. So the first symbol is the Fatha. It's a symbol that makes an a sound, and it's recognized by pretty much having a slash above the letter. So this is read as ba, ta, tha, ba, right? It's known as Fatha. Next you have Kasra. It's a symbol that makes an e sound, literally meaning to break. So when you say the word Kasra, or an e sound, what happens is that your mouth is coming together, but it's not fully closing. There's a break in between. So that's why they use the word kasra in order to designate it. So b, t, thi, and li. Next up is dhamma, and this symbol makes an oo sound when you put it on a letter. It lies on top of it and it makes an oo sound. So bu, tu, thu, and lu. Next up we have sukun, and this is a symbol that basically joins one word to the next, right? So right here we have a hamza making a sound and then a ba. So if we're going to join these together, we put a sukun on top and it becomes ab, at, eth, al. I put the ba here in red because in tajweed, when you're reading in the Quran, there are 5 letters that when they connect, they bounce. They're qutb, jiddan, qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. When you connect to those, you bounce a little. So it's not ab, it's ab. Right? There's a little bit of a bounce afterwards. Next up is Chedda. And this symbol does two things. First, just like the sukoon, it joins one letter to the next, and then it produces an a, e, or u sound afterwards using the symbols that we learned above. So as you can see, it's like abba. So that w there, that's known as a shedda, and you could pretty much just think of it as a sukoon, right? The sukoon that joins it, and then afterwards you have a slash above telling you it's a fatha. So abba. Over here we have atti, athu, abban. Right, so that's a shadda. Next up is what we call a tanween. And essentially what a tanween is that you're taking those symbols that we learned, the fatha, dhamma, and kasra, those three specifically that produce sounds, and you're pretty much doubling it. Right, so as you can see here, there's two fathas, there's two kasras, and there's two dhammas. What this does is that it produces like a noon sound with it. So instead of being a, it's now an. Instead of being e, it's now in. Instead of being u, it's now un. What's actually happening here is that a noon with sukoon is being added to the symbol to produce this sound. So actually what kitab ben is kitab ben, written like that. But to save space, they just put a second dash to represent that noon with a sukoon. Right? Just a side note here, in the taqwa programs and some Arabic programs, a word that has tanween on the end, that tanween there is sometimes referred to as heavy, right? Because it doubles up, so it's heavier. And then when there's only one fatha, dhamma, or kasra, that's called light, right? It's just like an in-house type of terminology that we use, something to keep in mind. Next up, we have the sun and moon letters. The Arabic alphabet can be divided into two. There's the sun letters, and pretty much what happens with the sun letter is that when there is an alif lam plus a sun letter, you skip the lam with a sukoon and connect right to the sun letter. So you just skip over it as if it doesn't exist. So this is not read al-shamsu, it's read ash-shamsu. This is not read al-talibu, it's read as al-talib. And this is read as at-tajir. So pretty much you just have to try and work with these letters here. Whenever you see them coming connected to an alif lam, you skip over that lam with a sukoon and hop straight to that letter, right? And honestly, you don't have to memorize these. They just come with experience. It's just good to know them when they come up, right? It's a reading rule. Next up is the moon letters, right? So we had sun letters and then moon letters, and they're the rest of the letters that we deal with. And the way that this works is that when there's an alif lam and then a moon letter, you pronounce the lam with a sukoon. So this is read as al-qamara, al-qamara. This is read as al-waladi, and this is read as al-falahu. We don't skip, we don't say aflahu. We actually read the alif lam because that's a moon letter there. And these are all the moon letters. And in the document, we broke it down to show you the entire alphabet. Blue is moon letters, and orange is sun letters, right? So for the orange, if it has alif lam, you skip over the lam with the sukoon. For the blue, which is moon letters, you read the alif lam and then the letter. Now we're just going to talk about a few more things to keep in mind with letters. There's one very interesting letter known as a Tamar Buta. And what it is, it's a circular ta that is attached to the end of a word. And when you're reading it, if you stop on it, you pronounce it as if it's a ha. You don't pronounce it as if it's a ta. You only pronounce it as if it's a ta if you continue. So here, this word here means car, and it's read as as-sayyara. As-sayyara. Right? That soft ha on the end, even though it's a ta. But if I were to continue, such as in this word, this construction here, it'd be as-saghira tal-jadida. See? Tal-jadida. You would pronounce the ta. So just this little letter here is actually really important. It tells us a lot about a word, and we're going to explore that later on. Okay, this is called a Tamar Buta. Next up is the Elif Maksura. And essentially what an Elif Maksura is, it's just an Elif disguised as this type of Ya. Right? So this Ya is different from this Ya over here. And we can tell that because it's just missing the two dots on the bottom. This is called an alif maksura, and it's just treated like an alif, right? So this is here on the end of Musa, and this is here on the end of Isa. And what I mean by we treat it like an alif, when it comes on the end of a word, we just extend it, just like how we would with an alif. Same thing. And then the next one is alif mamduda, and that's an alif plus a hamza, right? Just like that. And yeah, that's letters. Next up we'll be covering words.